Karibu tena mtazamaji, unaendelea kupokea taarifa za TV47 Matukio hii leo ikiwa ni siku ya Jungu la Ugatuzi. Kwa muktadha huo mtazamaji, nataka tuvuke hadi katika bunge la kitaifa. Kama nilivyokuwa nimekujuza hapo awali tulipokuwa tukianzisha taarifa hizi, kamati ya afya katika bunge la kitaifa inafanya kikao na katibu wa afya katika kitengo cha matibabu, yani Harry Kimtai, ili kujadili bajeti ya idara hii ya afya. Tuvuke moja kwa moja tusikize wanacho kijadili.
You repeat your name again and make your presentation very briefly.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members. Without repeating what the PS has indicated, under Social Health Authority is just to note that we run the three funds: the Social Health Insurance Fund, Primary Health Care Fund, and the Emergency Critical and Chronic Illness Fund. So the figures in our estimates are as indicated by the PS. A point to note is that there is quite some huge variance between what is in the approved estimates for the current year when you look at the proposed. For example, primary health, in the current estimates we have 4 billion. When you check at our proposal for the year 25-26, you will see we have 61 billion. For emergency,
you know, in Kasira, medicine is evidence-based. From when you started the program, Emergency, Chronic and Critical Illness Fund, we allocated 2.1 billion. But since you started the program, you've only opened certain sections of it, which is stabilization of the patient, or resuscitation and stabilization of the patient. And so far, the billing is coming to 21 million. That is in your last presentation, which is 1%. So we will not go with even in the supplementary, which we will discuss next week on Thursday. I don't think the committee is going to approve your supplementary to give you money, because if hospitals are not spending that money, then at the close of the financial year, that money would have been better utilized somewhere else. It should be evidence-based. We want to move away from this, so that, you know, my vice chair here attended the Monday meeting at the office, at the residence of the deputy president. And one of the complaints from the governors that came was that the communication is poor. And that is why there is a problem in terms of even utilization. Yeah. So we need to package our information in such a way that we have this money. Yeah. We have 2.1 billion, but the expenditure is low. And therefore, we should not make the government look very bad by stating that we wanted 61 billion, and we didn't get. Which the message should be that we've allocated 2.1 billion for emergency, chronic, and critical illness. The expenditure is very low. It is 21 million. We've allocated 4 billion for primary health care fund. What has been spent is 375 million. Yeah, that is the information that we have, and is correct. So we don't want to do with those estimates that I don't know how they arrived at them. Those are, it's not evidence-based. Let's deal with what is evidence-based, what you have in your system, so that we encourage the users and the hospitals to be able to spend that money, and then let them bill us, so that if there is a deficit, then we can gradually increase as time goes on. Yeah, so that we said now this is the amount that even, you know, the supplementary is for the unforeseen circumstances. If we did, if we had given 2 billion, and by now they have exhausted the 2 billion, then we will know that by close of the financial year, we'll need maybe another 4 billion to cover for that. But you can't now go into 61 billion when it cannot be spent. Are we agreed?
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me give my PS chair an opportunity.
No, the PS has spoken. Okay. You can't give the PS. It's the PS to give you.
So, thank you, Chair and members. Indeed, you are right that there were delays in activation of some of the components that were to be covered under the Emergency Critical and Chronic Illness Fund, and the same are now being worked on. Together with what we have proposed in the supplementary, the way you have indicated, you will see the utilization go up, because the proposal is now to enhance what is being covered under ICU, which has been a major complaint. So when that is activated, you will see that utilization go up, and it will address one of the issues you raised with us, and which has been a serious pain point for us. Under primary health care, yes, we had gotten 4 billion. We paid an initial 1.35. We have just finished receiving returns from the facilities. So when we also disburse, you will see also an increased utilization in that fund.
Chair, I have a point of order.
Yes.
You know, Chair, as the CEO presents, out there, because we represent people, CEO, the government has received a lot of beating. That are beating out there because people think the government was not ready for this program. The government did not provide budget for this program. So are you confirming that money was provided, but SHA, your organization, delayed in operationalizing use of money? Are you confirming that you have money, but because of delay of operationalizing the use of the money, that's why Kenyans were not receiving services? Because that would be a very good clarification so that Kenyans can know that the government provided money, because government might be receiving a beating for nothing.
CEO, order Kibagendi and Pepe, let him just respond to the Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair and members. It may be important to note that at the initial stage of budgeting, we had what had been put together to be offered under the Emergency Critical and Chronic Illnesses. When the budget was rationalized downwards, we had to do the same to the package. And that is what led into the delay, because what was prioritized could not have been accommodated in the 2 billion that was allocated.
How? And you now have balances. You have excess money with you.
Why are you rationalizing packages?
Chair, the rationalization was based on what? Because you rationalize based on something. You could have provided the service with the monies you had, so that we know the extent by which we need the resources to meet the gaps.
Don't respond for now. Pepela, you wanted to add something so that he responds to all of them.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just the way the Vice Chair said, Chair, we are behind schedule in terms of operation of some of these services, especially within the emergency critical and the critical fund, Chair. And so I expected the CEO to speak with clarity in terms of when are they operationalizing or rolling out some of these services that are remaining, Chair. And so I really, Chair, I think really it's not fair for him to speak with the generality, Chair.
Okay. CEO, you're getting the concerns by the members because you've been given money. And that money, instead of you, even if you are to step down, to gradually step up the package for the services that are going to be offered, you don't have to wait until people are complaining. You are able to maybe start with stabilization, resuscitation, then you see how the uptake is. You have ICU, people who are being admitted in the ICU and they are being billed. Then you can now come back to us as a committee and tell us the money is not adequate. You gave us 2 billion. The uptake is too high, and it's not sustainable. Can we be able now to maybe step it down? That might have been the most logical, or increase the allocation so that can be sorted out.
Chair.
We want you to be proactive. Yes,
Chair.
Maina Madenge.
I want to bring to the attention of the CEO, Shah, that actually as parliamentarians we are proactive, and the figures we have do not tally with what you are telling us. Chair, the church is under the Catholic Conference, the Kenya Catholic Conference of Bishops. Up to now, in totality, they have billed SHA 762,483.55 shillings. Out of that,
for which services?
For all service, for all the referral services.
You know, we are talking of two different things. What you are giving is a shift, which is different from primary health care and then emergency and critical illness fund.
In fact,
so those are two different funds. The ones which are funded by government is the PHC and the ECCF.
Let me go to primary health care fund.
Yes, how much have they billed them?
I do not have the Nini, but
okay,
I'll give you a demonstration of Ihororo Health Center in Nyeri that has the largest rehab, a collaboration between county government of Nyeri and Nakada. They have received 0. The second one on emergency care fund. One of the reasons why Kenyans are suffering and why you have these low figures is because you have not provided facilities with a protocol on how to make a claim under that fund.
We're still talking about the issue raised by the Council of Governors of communication. Yes, Dr. Nyekal.
Chair, you know, the question is, these two funds, the primary care fund and the emergency care fund, one, how are those funds being, what is the structure of their management? You know, we are calling them a fund. Where is the money actually, if we ask, that the one you have not used, where is it? How does it move from where it is to a hospital that has asked? How does that patient know that I'm now getting care under this, and therefore this bill is going to be paid by this fund? Because to them it is SHA. So in my mind, what is bothering me than even all the things we are saying is the structure of management of these funds and actually their operationalization on the ground.
Okay.
That's what I would want to hear.
Okay, Lenguris.
Thank you, Chair. My question is, I wanted to know the percentage of facilities, that is public facilities that have benefited from the primary health care fund as opposed to private facilities. The percentage, the comparison between the two.
Okay. CEO.
Thank you, Chair and members. The funds that we are running them as designated funds. Each of the funds has a separate designated bank account where all receipts related to that fund are put. So we have a designated account for managing the primary health fund, and also another account for managing the...
You know, when you say designated, you should be able to give the names. Where are they?
Thank you, Chair and members. With your permission, so I will indicate that the money for primary health care is in KCB. Mm-hmm. The money for emergency, critical, and chronic illness is in KCB. Then collections for SHIF, because it receives money from all the publics, it's being done under 5 different banks.
Namely?
Chair and members, it's KCB, National Bank, DTB, Sydian Bank, Cooperative Bank, and ABSA.
Okay. So then, that is 6.
SHA, it is operated purely by SHA. It is operated within SHA. There are designated officers who have been approved to operate, to provide the signing mandates for all those accounts. In terms of billing, for purposes of the first quarter, which under SHA, which was October to December, the board approved that we use capitation based on the last data that had been provided in the NHIF system, which was data up to the end of September, for purposes of disbursing to hospitals. That was done, and this is how we disbursed 1.3 billion. The expectation at that time was that facilities will, after the end of the quarter, submit returns to us. The returns were to help us know who received less, who didn't receive money and provided the service. Then we are able now to disperse further, and that is for primary.
And so you've dispersed 1.3 billion?
Yes.
That is from which month to which month?
That was the quarter 1st October to 31st December.
And the account has 4 billion?
The account had received a total of 3.7 billion from the ministry, and we have dispersed 1.3 billion. From the returns we have received, we expect to disburse an additional 1.6 to 1.7 billion from that account to cover the facilities who offered primary health care within that quarter and had not been paid.
Chair, that's where my question was now, CEO, in primary health care. Because where we have most complaint right now, it's primary health care, lack of medicine, lack of the necessary things that are required. And you are confirming that you had 3.7 billion, you are able to disburse 1.3, so you have 2.4 billion idle. That is one of my questions. You can't let me finish. Then secondary, have you checked that the hospitals you are releasing money to for the primary health care, that those governors are implementing FIF, so that we don't release money to level 2s and 3s, then money ends up in the county consolidated funds? Because we had said we'll tie releasing primary health care money to implementation of FIF, so that we don't release money and it ends up in the county government account. So are you checking on that?
Thank you, Chair and members. I wish to note that when we are doing contracting of facilities, we contract each and every individual facility under the county. So our contract is with the facility. The bank account we remit money to belongs to the facility. It's not a consolidated county account. So the money goes to the particular facility for purposes of helping them implement FIF.
You know why my vice chair is talking about that is that, and we'll have the presentation from KEMSA, is that these facilities are expected to order for health products and technologies from KEMSA directly. And they are supposed to pay directly to KEMSA. Yeah? So we should not be having a problem with KEMSA saying that the counties have not paid. Because if they have money from SHA, they should be able to meet their obligations. And secondly, we can also ask the peers to propose an amendment to the Public Finance Management Act in such a way that instead of that money now going to those facilities, if they've made orders from KEMSA, that money can be wired directly KEMSA to debit those for the debt that those facilities owe.
Chair, there's even a bigger structural issue.
Yes.
This is why I wanted to know how. Okay, primary health care in facilities will be outpatient. So you are paying on capitation on the number of people seen in outpatient. But the biggest, our biggest target for primary health care is level 2 and 3. So if now we were to have a breakdown of the monies that have gone, how many level 2s and 3s actually have accounts to which you have sent the money? Because that's every morning when I'm in my house, I get about 10 people who went to a health center and the dispensary and were given a paper to go and buy. And I have to
Dr. Nyikal will be having a retreat next week.
But you see, Chair,
with the SHA,
when we are discussing this, and we are going to give money,
yes,
it has to relate to what
and we want those details of even those accounts,
Chair, let me just
so that members can be able to know the facilities within their counties or constituencies.
No, Chair, let me even
that
say,
are compliant.
Chair, let me even say this.
Yes.
Even when we say those people are getting capitations, some level 4 and 5 are probably in the counties. But if we were to now break this one down, how many are actually in the private sector? Because a lot of people also go to the private sector for outpatient services. So if this primary care is paying for them, how many of those facilities you have are in outpatient, in private sector? How many are in county government facilities? Where I know there's nothing is level 2 and 3. So the vast people...
I don't want you to respond to that. That is food for thought for our retreat.
So the vast thing, where our people go, they are not getting these things. So we sit here and we are going to give money. And, and Chair, it explains why we gave 2 billion and less than 300, about 300 million has been sent.
Yeah.
Because there's no structure that draws me to get the money. The money is lying with you, and I'm paying from my pocket as an MP for people who did not get service. And we don't want to go where chairman is, or are the drugs there from KEMSA?
We will retreat and discuss, because we will want to understand those structures that you put in place, how counties are making their claims. How are they making their claims? You will have to demonstrate to us during that retreat. And even the other facilities, how are they making their claims? And how are those claims being processed and money being sent to their accounts? And we will want to look at the accounts, how many institutions have accounts, both in the private and the public. And then who manages those accounts even in the counties? We will retreat. This is a budget policy statement meeting. I want you to restrict to that so that we can be able to finish with the others. But Chair, you have a lot to discuss with us.
And Chair, even that, when one facility of level 4 and 5, it has outpatients. So those, they should be getting money from the primary care fund. But they also have inpatients, and people are making claims. So we will want to know how much of those claims are now coming from SHIF, and how much is coming from, and now how much is...
Okay, Dr. Nyikal. CEO, I want us to restrict ourselves to budget policy statement.
Chair.
Or on SHA, if you have anything on that.
Not on SHA, just on the primary health care fund.
No, I want us to do with budget policy statement so that we can have others. But we'll retreat with the SHA, and you will have all your answers. But we'll have a 2-day retreat with them.
Chair, this is on an issue of policy. Because when he has said that the payments from the primary healthcare fund have been based on the data existing at NHIF. Under NHIF, patients used to, or contributors used to select their facilities. That provision is not there under
SHA.
Under SHA. And number two, under SHA, as a policy, we were to establish the primary healthcare networks. The primary healthcare networks are not complete. So how then, with those gaps, do we then justify the payments?
Allow us to prosecute that at that later date. Have you finished your presentation?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Most of the figures had been covered
Okay.
both by the Minister.
Then we now go to Kenya Medical Research Institute, KEMRI.
Thank you, Chair. Most of the items are actually been covered by the peers in this presentation. I don't want to repeat that, as you have actually said, but there are only two areas that I want to actually bring attention of this committee on KEMRI. One is our core mandate is research. And research means use of money for us to be able to develop the papers that we have, for the change of policy that we have to give the ministry, or the innovations or the kits that we have to develop, the drugs, the vaccines. We were allocated 400 million, however, for research. However, that money was not given to us. So we have a zero for research. Chair, this is where our prayer is, that we really, apart from the PE that our PS has mentioned, we need our 400 million back. Because one thing we are even discussing about SHA, this money, actually, part of it is actually that you have been given a task to evaluate SHA, to get data on the performance of SHA. The ministry has given us that particular work. And we need this money to be able to get data to inform the country as it is moving on the progress, for us to give actual data and the particular gaps and the direction that should be able to go. So this is the money we need. So we really pray that we get back this 400 million, because a research institute that's doing research, given 400 million and then it's taken away, it doesn't work well. Secondly, Chair, is that we have been talking about donor. What you are now seeing the experience about the U.S. government pulling out. As we are talking, the PS has addressed that mostly, but there is also another funding for donor agency that we have to transit from. And this is the Wellcome Trust. KEMRI has big funding from the Wellcome Trust of the UK. And during the negotiations you have been making Wellcome Trust, we committed that there is going to be a transition. And the transition means the first thing that we're going to do is take over the personnel, around 800 personnel who are working in our center in Kilifi. While our center in Kisumu, our center in Busia, our center in Kericho, and Kombewa are funded more to the US side. Kilifi is funded to the Wellcome Trust. We are requested for 100 million for transition for this 800 staff as a PE. This is still our prayer, that this is included so that we can be able to slowly start winning ourselves out from these dollar funds. And again, for us to start owning the particular output coming from our research, not only in terms of IP, but also in terms of the products that we have developed from this. I would just want to bring to the attention of this committee that during the COVID time, there are sometimes you could not be able to own what came out from our research and was developed somewhere else because we were not funding it, and even the staff were not ours. So these are things that we are really praying that let's bring it back so that we can be able to really own or have our own priorities. The other one is on the area of maintenance, but this has been said more, so I don't want to get more to that. So it is these particular two ones, which I think are more critical, which should be added to what our peers has just mentioned. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Professor Songok. Pardon? Yeah, just most often the committee would be interested in funding projects that or research that addresses local solutions. When we first funded KEMRI, I think there came an issue of Mira, then there was an issue of pyrethrum, Mukombero, and all those other things. One of your sister organizations, Kibre intends to address local issues, that is snake bites. And I think they'll be here tomorrow, or not this afternoon. But from our interactions, they intend to manufacture snake antivenom. The current snake antivenom is manufactured out of Africa, that is in India. And it is a polyvalent type, which is not specific to our local snakes. And therefore, its efficacy is close to almost 50 to 60%. If they do using our snakes, then the efficacy would go to almost 100%. And they've asked us for a very small amount. They have asked us for 150 million. If we give them 150 million to buy some horses and manufacture their own anti-snake venom, they'll be able to be self-sustaining. What is it in KEMRI that if you do, you can also be self-sustaining? That is my first question. Just put that as a first question. Then I want to invite Honorable Ron and then my vice chair here first. We go by order, Ron.
Mine is just
no, Ron. Vice chair is
Thank you.
Order of seniority.
Thank you, Chair. Mine was just a brief question, Chair. A very brief question. When I understand this, the CEO, why he's so bitter about that money, because he had really defended the tier last time when we were giving him the 400. And getting 0 from 400 was not very good for the old man. So I understand his pain. 2, Chair, there's something called Health Innovations in Expenditure Program 2, which has a budget of 3.1 billion. You know, I would really want to understand in layman's language.
Order members.
When we talk about what KEMRI does, they come up with innovations. When we talk about snake venom, those are innovations. And these are 100 million, 200 million, 400 million things. So what else innovations are we funding for 3 billion? Under which saga? It will be under which saga? What are the innovations? Because I think I'm missing something or I have a problem.
Yes, Honorable Ron.
Mine is a comment and a question. The CEO KEMRI indicated that they have been given a task to assess the effectiveness or to audit SHA. The two organizations are within the ministry under one banner. Don't you think that will be conflict of interest? And given the position you've taken, KEMRI has taken about their money being taken to SHA, would it be good if an independent consultancy did this with knowledge of health rather than KEMRI?
Yes, Ward Chief.
Chair, this is not really to the KEMRI, but to all of us. The cost of care in this country can only be brought down on prevention, treatment, and control. And this should be under both. I don't know who is doing that health innovation. It should be both. Chair, I've gone through all these figures. What is coming up here is interventions at the tertiary care or middle care, which means that we allow people to get sick, then we come and intervene for them, either biomedically or surgery or whatever. That is where the budget is going. And the position of Cambridge now, obviously, the one who pays the piper calls the tune. Is dancing to the external funding. So even that 400 million they're asking is a peanut, what I see here. And as a country, PS, if we want to go, there are two areas, research and manufacturing, where Biovax comes in. I know they will talk, but even in their request of 1 billion, you give them 281 million. These two can reduce.
Na mtazamaji, moja kwa moja kutoka bunge la kitaifa ambapo kuna hayo mazungumzo au mkutano ambao unaongozwa na kamati ya afya ya bunge wakijadili kuhusiana na bajeti na migao ya bajeti kwenye idara za afya hapa nchini Kenya. Kufikia hapo mtazamaji, tuchukue mapumziko mafupi, lakini tutakuwa tukirejea baada ya muda usiokuwa mrefu.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's mind. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth, as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50, going upwards, once a year, please go see a doctor. Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwa watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget
Naam, karibu tena mtazamaji, unaendelea kupokea moja kwa moja taarifa za TV47 Matukio. Hilo ikiwa ni siku ya Jumatano na unaendelea kutupata moja kwa moja kupitia mitandao yetu yote ya kijamii. Na sasa mtazamaji, naomba tuvuke hadi katika bunge la Seneti ambapo maseneta wanaendelea kujadili kinyang'anyiro cha AUC ambapo mgombea wa Kenya Raila Odinga alipoteza, huku wakiweka wazi kuwa kampeni yake iliendeshwa vyema japo kuna lalama za kilichochangia Kenya kupoteza nafasi hiyo. Basi tutakuwa tukivuka huko kwa njia ya moja kwa moja. Mwanahabari wetu wa masuala ya kisiasa Elizabeth Mutuku yuko upande huo, atakuwa akitupasha watakachokuwa wakijadili maseneta hawa. Hivi tunangoja mtazamaji kuvuka huko. Basi mtazamaji, kumbuka ya kwamba juma lililopita kulikuwa na uchaguzi huu wa wenyekiti wa tume ya AUC, ambapo Raila Odinga alikuwa ni mmoja wa waniaji wa wenyekiti huu, lakini akapoteza, na alipoteza kwake kwa Mahmoud Yusuf ambaye sasa ndiye mwenyekiti mpya wa tume hii ya AUC kutoka taifa la Djibouti. Mtazamaji, matokeo haya ya uchaguzi huu wa tume ya AUC basi yameendelea kuibua maswali chungu nzima, si katika taifa la Kenya tu bali hata katika mataifa mengine barani Afrika, na hususan Afrika Mashariki, ambapo wamesema kwamba huenda Raila Odinga alipoteza kwa sababu ya uhusiano mbovu au uhusiano mduni kati ya taifa la Kenya na mataifa mengine hususan ya Afrika Mashariki. Aidha mtazamaji, wa viongozi kutoka hapa nchini Kenya wamezidi kuzungumza na kutoa hisia mseto kuhusiana na kushindwa kwake Raila Odinga, baadhi yao wakisema walijaribu vya kutosha Raila Odinga kuibuka mshindi katika tume hii, kuwa mwenyekiti wa tume hii ya AUC, lakini hakufua dafu. Aidha mtazamaji, viongozi wengine walisema ya kwamba amepoteza kwa sababu alikuwa kiungwa mkono na Rais William Ruto. Haya yanajiri kipindi ambacho Wakenya wengi wamezidi kupoteza imani na uongozi wake Rais William Ruto. Wakasema bila shaka kwa sababu alikuwa kiungwa mkono na Rais William Ruto, basi haikuwa taswira nzuri kwa Raila Odinga kuwania nafasi hii ya wenyekiti katika tume ya AUC. Basi kama nilivyokufahamisha, tutakuwa tukivuka pia huko katika bunge la Seneti, tusikize nao maseneta wanasema nini. Mtazamaji, mfano mzuri wa kiongozi ambaye amesema watu wakubali matokeo ya kushindwa kwake Raila Odinga ni Junet Mohamed, ambaye anasema Wakenya wanafaa kutosheka na matokeo hayo ambayo yalitukia. Aidha mtazamaji, Wakenya pia waliibua hisia mseto kuhusiana na uchaguzi huu wa tume ya AUC, wengi wakisema Raila Odinga arejee nchini na kuendeleza siasa zake. Aidha wengine mtazamaji wanamwambia na kumtolea kauli ya kwamba ni wakati wa kupumzika. Aidha mtazamaji, Wakenya wengine wana msimamo tofauti ya kwamba sasa anafaa kurejelea siasa zake za upinzani hapa nchini Kenya. Basi ni mawaidha na maoni tu ya Wakenya tofauti kuhusiana na matokeo ya uchaguzi huu wa wenyekiti wa tume ya AUC. Aidha mtazamaji, kama nilivyokujuza, maseneta ndio wanazidi kujadili swala hili kuhusiana na matokeo hayo. Aidha mtazamaji, haya yanajiri kipindi ambacho pia alikuwa naibu rais Rigathi Gachagua alikuwa amemtakia kila laheri katika uchaguzi huo, lakini akapoteza. Na baada ya kupoteza pia tulimuona Rigathi Gachagua akitoa kauli yake kuhusiana na kupoteza kwake, akisema ya kwamba ni sawa arejee nchini, ni mtoto wa Kenya na ni mwanasiasa wa Kenya, basi arejee hapa nchini tuendelee kupiga siasa. Mtazamaji, naarifiwa kwamba sasa tupo tayari tuvuke hadi katika bunge la Seneti, tusikize wanachokisema wanachokisema ni radhi viongozi wa Seneti kuhusiana na matokeo haya ya uchaguzi wa wenyekiti wa tume ya AUC.
Wasimame kidete na tuseme kwamba katiba inakubali vyama vya kisiasa. Katiba inakubali kwamba kuwe na uhuru wa kisiasa na mahusiano ya kisiasa. Sasa mimi nataka kuona viongozi wenzangu chipukizi, tunaposimama kando na kuwa vinanda vya kisiasa, sisi sasa tuwe watunzi wa nyimbo za demokrasia na kutetea hadhi na falsafa ya demokrasia katika nchi ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga amepigana vita dhidi ya ufisadi, na naamini angetoa uongozi wa Jumuiya ya Afrika, angeongoza mapambano dhidi ya ufisadi katika nchi za Afrika. Changamoto nyingi zinazoendelea katika nchi za Afrika, vita vinavyoendelea ni kutokana na ufisadi. Na mimi naomba kutokana na jumba la Senate tuone viongozi wakisimama kidete kupigana vita dhidi ya ufisadi katika nchi ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, Raila Amolo Odinga amedhihirisha kwamba kusulubiwa kisiasa sio mwisho wa safari. Aliwekwa korokoroni, akaondoka, na si Biblia tunasema Paulo na Sila waliomba, milango ikafunguliwa. Wengine wetu pia ni wajukuu wa kisiasa, tumewekwa korokoroni na tukatoka. Kile tunataka kushukuru Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto ni kwamba ulijitokeza muhanga, ukamshika mkono Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga. Viongozi wote wa upinzani wasiokuwa upinzani walitembea na nyinyi katika baraste ya kuombea Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga afueni na utoe ushindi katika nchi ya Afrika na katika nchi ya Kenya. Mimi ni kuomba tu kwamba tuendelee kufanya kazi kwa pamoja, tuendelee kufanya majadiliano ya pamoja, tuendelee kupigania haki za Mkenya na Afrika, ili siku itakapokuja tutaulizwa yale tuliyotenda kwa mujibu wa katiba na ujio wa siasa za nchi ya Kenya. Kwa hayo mengi, kwa niaba ya watu wa Bungoma, kwa niaba ya watu wa mkoa wa Magharibi, kwa niaba ya chama cha kisiasa ambacho kimebobea na kina ukomavu mkubwa wa kisiasa, chama cha Ford Kenya, kilichokuwa uasisi wa demokrasia katika nchi ya Kenya, tunampa heko na kongole Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga kwa kupeperusha bendera ya nchi ya Kenya, kumshukuru Mheshimiwa William Ruto kwa kujitokeza muhanga kama rais wa nchi ya Kenya na kutembea na Mkenya mwenzake. Na mimi ningewaomba wale wenzangu ambao wana wivu, wana moyo na inda mioni mwao kuhusiana na Raila Amolo Odinga, iwapo hauwezi kupiga hatua mbele, usimwonee mwenzio aliye na hesabu na aliye na uwezo wa kupiga hatua mbele, kwa sababu hatua hiyo ndiyo Kenya inastahili kuchukua ili tulete ukombozi na urejesho katika nchi yetu. Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga, nakutakia maisha mema unapoendelea kuongoza mchakato wa demokrasia na kuungana na Mheshimiwa William Ruto, na sitaki kumsahau Papa wa Roma, Spika wa Bunge la Kitaifa, ambaye yuko papo hapo kuhakikisha Kenya inasonga mbele. Asante sana na Mungu awabariki.
Senator Olekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me begin by congratulating the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga for being a statesman and seeing where the elections were heading, where we would create a situation where we would not have a chairperson to represent the African Union in the secretariat and the administrative organ of the African Union. If he did not concede defeat early, we would have had a situation where we repeat the elections over and over again. Mr. Speaker, what the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga demonstrated in the African continent is that as a leader, he has not always been there for his own gain. It has never been about Raila Amolo Odinga. It has always been about the good of the continent. When I was a young student at the University of Massachusetts, my third year, I took a course on international relations. And that is when I knew the complexity that exists when it comes to dealing with issues, international relations. The African continent was subdivided into two, Anglophone and Francophones. And these two separate ideologies are very complex. Anglophones countries have always demonstrated progress. They've always shown the way forward. But unfortunately, most of the Francophone countries have always been left behind. And you can see, even in the reasoning, you can see, even in the development of our countries. Anglophone countries have managed to be able to leapfrog on different sectors. If you look at Kenya as an example, Kenya developed the first money transfer system to be able to assist those less fortunate, people who are in rural areas, to be able to also get banking services. This is not something that is found across the continent of Africa. We have 55 countries. If Raila Amolo Odinga would have been given the opportunity to become the chairperson of the African Union Commission to be able to advise the 55 presidents, to be able to give his wisdom on all the different organs of the African Union so that we achieve the African Union goal of 2063, where we have good hospitals, where we have good road networks, where we trade. This continent would have had a very different perspective on good leadership. But that never happened. And in fact, if you compare the two candidates, I dare say, even in terms of understanding of the role that the chairperson of the African Union Commission plays, Raila Amolo Odinga was way much above the gentleman who eventually won. And this is easily demonstrated by the speech of the gentleman who was now declared the winner, when he came out and said, oh, they came with money, they know, but we only came with God. It shows a complete different understanding of what that role is. What I expected of Mohammed is that he would have said, we are now here as a continent. My role now is to act as a key advisor of all these 55 presidents. You know, a lot of people did not understand the role that Raila Amolo Odinga was going to play as the chairperson of the African Union Commission. The African Union Commission was established in 2001 and commissioned in 2002 as an organ to develop policy to support the African Union, heads of states. Mr. Speaker, you could equate it to the Council of Governors, where you have the Secretariat of the Council of Governors. The Council of Governors advises the 47 governors that we have in this country. So people took it differently, you know, but that shows how powerful Raila Amolo Odinga is in this continent. When you sit with the Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, he'll tell you that the vision he has for Africa is to unite the Nile, is to drench the Nile, so that we can have transport directly from Egypt coming down to East Africa. I hope that now the new chairperson of the African Union would be able to borrow that from Raila Amolo Odinga. I love what Raila Amolo Odinga said, that I'm still available to offer my services, my advice to the African continent, if any other position arises. That shows maturity when it comes to leading Africa. We're a continent that is divided. And unless we all sit down together and reevaluate the 2063 goals of the African Union, by 2063, you will still find African countries that still people beg in the streets. I think I'm tired of seeing people beg. I'm tired of going to our counties and finding that we have got no medicine, just because of the algorithm that is developed by international communities or India, United Kingdom, the US, when it comes to selling all their drugs to this country, that we cannot even develop our own drugs to be able to help our people get better. We just have to depend on this algorithm. I think it is about time that even if Raila Amolo Odinga did not become the chairperson of the African Union Commission, it is time for us to sit down with His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga and say, can you please demystify your vision so that even here in Kenya, we can be able to develop our foreign policy. We can be able to develop our foreign policy in a way that it assists us develop this nation. You know, when you sit with certain cabinet secretaries, they will tell you that the amount of wealth that we have in this country is enough to allow us pay all our debt, to allow us be able to lend money to other countries. These are things that we need to be discussing now. If we invest heavily in the mining sector of this country, we can be able to develop our economy. Mr. Speaker, sir, when I sit here, even the text messages that I receive of the potential of my own county of Narok when it comes to minerals is overwhelming. When I receive text messages of the potentials of where my good friend, the vice chair of PAC comes from, Taita Taveta, the potential of that county, the potential of Kwale in terms of the mining sector. That is enough to be able to help us leapfrog. And Mr. Speaker, with this current debate where America is talking about America first, where Germany is talking about Germany first, where they are saying now it is time for us to be real Americans. If you are a foreigner, ship off and go back to your country. I think it's about time that we take that unfortunate policy direction to make it better for us. Always take something negative and make something positive out of the outcome of it. If we can get these African brains who were economic refugees in America, who are economic refugees in Germany, come back and commit themselves in our continent, we can then be able to make a lot of progress. Mr. Speaker, I see this as a great opportunity for us to have our discussions on how we are going to end poverty in this African continent. Not only to talk about the war in DRC and Congo. You know, it's only the wearer of the shoe that knows where it hurts the most. When people criticize the president of Rwanda for taking a particular position when it comes to this issue of the war, the conflict with DRC, they are not the ones who are going to receive all those refugees who are going to troop into that country, small country. It is only him who knows the position. So when my colleagues talk about us or criticize the current president of this republic that he should have taken a different position, the position that SADC wanted to be taken, yet His Excellency President William Ruto is the chairperson of the East African Commission, what do they expect him to do? To go there and deviate from the role that the East African community want, for him to go and give his vision? I think it is important for all of us to understand the dynamics that plays. It is important for us to understand what is in our interest. If we have our neighbors being stable, it helps this country. If Rwanda is stable, Kenya is assisted. If Tanzania is stable, Kenya is able to trade with Tanzania. But now, when we say that because SADC countries want a particular position, do we even go back and ask ourselves, what is this position? What exactly is fueling this position? When you take some time and you try to understand the dynamics, when you look at the economy of the DRC, you will see a lot of minerals in that country. When you look at the economy of South Africa, you will see a lot of minerals. Anyone who would want to be able to have a position contrary to what other superpowers want would want to align themselves in a position whereby they say, we are developing these minerals for ourselves, so let us bring our interests together, and that, in most cases, if we just jump in and we say, yes, this is the way to go, we might end up being isolated. So, Mr. Speaker, what His Excellency Raila Amolo did is something that, for me, I will always remember him as someone who has put the interest of not only Kenya, but African continent first before his own personal interest. You know, some of us, Mr. Speaker, in some of our own religious or personal moments, we even contemplated saying, since the position of the chairperson of the African Union Commission is to advise on policy, on the economy, politics, you know, as well as other areas to do with social affairs. Why not split? And then we converge, we come together and sit down. Why don't we say the Anglophone countries have one commissioner, the chairperson, the other one has another commission, so that we now come and say, these are our social issues. Because, Mr. Speaker, when you find that the now current chairperson of the African Union is talking about, they came with all these, but we just came with God, instead of advancing and saying, now that the elections are over, let us go together as one, what would you conclude on? In my simple conclusion is that our differences in terms of our cultural upbringing will never help us be able to see that as diversity, as adding diversity. But it will always show us as if we are different. Mr. Speaker, there are people who, when you ask them, you know, in this world there are people who give advice differently. Some of them will tell you...
Na moja kwa moja kutoka bunge na moja kwa moja niwe radhi mtazamaji kutoka bunge la Seneti ambapo maseneta wanajadili kufuatia matokeo ya wenyekiti wa tume ya AUC uchaguzi uliofanyika tarehe 15 mwezi huu wa Februari. Aidha mtazamaji, ambaye alikuwa akizungumza ni seneta wa kaunti ya Narok Ledama Olekina, ambaye anasema kuna haja taifa la Kenya kuwaza tena baada ya Raila Odinga kupoteza ugombeaji huo ambao alikuwa anataka kuwa mwenyekiti wa tume ya AUC. Basi tunakomea hapo mtazamaji, tuchukue mapumziko mafupi, lakini zitimia hapo saa 7 za dhuhuri basi nitakuwa nikirejea na taarifa kwa njia ya kina, ikiwemo hii ambayo maseneta wanajadili kuhusiana na mustakabali wa taifa hili baada ya Raila Odinga kupoteza uchaguzi huo wa wenyekiti wa tume ya AUC. Usiende mbali, jina langu ni Ruga Ival.